Go on from the Blue Cliff record. This is case 46. It's called The Sound of Raindrops. Kyosho asked a monk, "What is that sound outside?" The monk said, "The sound of raindrops." Kyosho said, "Ordinary people are upside down, losing themselves in pursuit of things." The monk said, "What about you?" Kyosho said, "Getting to not losing self." The monk said, "What is the meaning of getting to not losing self?" Kyosho said, "Emerging can be relatively easy. Total expression must be hard." So we have a couple people. Oh my God, Natalia? What? Hello, Natalia. Wow. We got Leslie joining. So for those folks who just joined us, I'll read this koan again. Kyosho asked a monk, "What is that sound outside?" The monk said, "The sound of raindrops." Kyosho said, "Ordinary people are upside down, losing themselves in pursuit of things." The monk said, "What about you?" Kyosho said, "Getting to not losing self." The monk asked, "What is the meaning of getting to not losing self?" Kyosho said, "Emerging can be relatively easy. Total expression must be hard." So the rain this week kind of made me think of this koan. And so let's just go line by line. Kyosho is a Zen teacher. He's probably, they don't really give too much information on him in the commentary, but we imagine he's a teacher, maybe the abbot of a temple somewhere back in the day, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, possibly over 1,000 years ago. And so he has this monk come in to see him one-on-one, like we go in to see Seisen or Echo or myself. And Kyosho asks this monk, "What is that sound outside?" Now, Kyosho is not deaf, and Kyosho has been around. He knows what rain is. So we kind of can see right away that this is like a probing question. This is a testing question, right? A lot of these opening questions in these koans and Zen stories are often trying to get at something more than what we think. So when he asks, "What's that sound outside?" essentially, I think he's pretty much asking, what are you? What is this life? What are you here for? Why are you here? What does our life mean? Who is hearing these raindrops? Really getting to the depths of all of our spiritual questioning, just with that very simple, what's that sound? And I think this question resonates in every moment of my life, right? What's the sound outside right now here in this office at USC? What is fighting with my friends? What is working really hard? What is it? What is it? Right? We think the world, we take so much for granted. And we just think things are, but this investigation, what is it? What am I? That's what this question is getting at. So the monk says, the sound of raindrops. So is he just answering it like kind of a regular question? Like when I ask my almost 3-year-old niece, "What's that sound out there?" And she just says, "It's rain." Or walking down the street and you pass any, Dick or Jane and you say, "What's that sound?" And they say, "It's rain. Haven't you seen rain before?" Is he answering it like that? Or does he kind of see that this is a probing question and this is his answer, right? If the question is, who are you? What is your life? What's the most important thing? What is the meaning of everything? The sound of raindrops. And, we'll take a look at whether that's a good answer or a bad answer. But I really think that this monk is really being sincere. And I kind of imagine that this monk and Kyosho kind of have a relationship. They've been working together for a while, and I'm guessing that he's probably heard this question before, right? In fact, it even said in the commentary that what's that sound outside is one of Kyosho's like favorite questions, right? So some teachers, especially in these classic Zen stories, they have their like thing, they have their testing question. And what is that sound outside is Kyosho's main testing question. And so maybe in the past, this monk said, various things, maybe a more green or novice monk might say, that sound is Buddha, or that sound is me, kind of coming at it with some kind of like Zen-y concept or idea. And maybe, one of the commentators in the book thinks that even that answer, just that very simple, the sound of raindrops, even has a little stink to it, a little bit of like, I know how to answer this one, right? Right? Because that kind of expression of just this, nothing extra, no concept of, the sound outside is Buddha, the sound outside is nothingness, the sound outside is emptiness, all those that's like, extreme conceptualization. But even that very basic, how can he get even more authentic than saying the sound of raindrops, right? But maybe it's a good answer, right? The other guy, there's two commentators in all of these koans, and one guy says that it was the perfect answer and it encapsulated everything in the universe, and the other guy said, yeah, it's kind of a heady answer and it doesn't quite get it. But if we just kind of stick with what the monk is trying to get at, what is your life? What is the meaning of everything? Just this. For me, a growling, hungry tummy sitting in a USC office. That is the most important thing. Just this moment, totally empty of my thoughts, concepts, and attachments. So that's the monk's answer. He's getting at that kind of thusness. And, these two commentators seem to have differing opinions of whether that's good or bad or whatever. But what does his teacher say? What does Kyosho say? Kyosho says, ordinary people are upside down, losing themselves in pursuit of things. So is he saying no? Is he castigating him, calling him an upside down ordinary person? Or, often in Zen, the word ordinary is used in a really praising way. Ordinary is the best thing to be, right? That's kind of what we're doing with this practice, is finding absolute perfection, the perfection of the Tathagata in every last little minute ordinary thing. Washing dishes is Buddha activity. Going to sleep, Buddha activity. Scratching your elbow, Buddha activity. Just the most ordinary thing, so ordinary could be a good thing, right? So we have one commentator saying it's the best answer possible, another commentator saying, yeah, he's kind of still in his head, and the teacher is kind of giving this vague answer. And I think that's so important. That's really a huge part of this koan work that we do, is that koans, like our life, are not equations. To have a right answer, 2 + 2 = 4, it helps in some ways, But if we're really investigating the nature of this permanently impermanent, constantly changing world, to try to get a right answer to anything is kind of foolish, right? So is it the best answer? Is it not great? Is it, what is Kyosho saying? It's not really the point, right? Like one answer in one moment could be great, and the same answer in the next moment could be totally wrong, right? The answers to these koans, the answers to our lives are constantly changing, always momentary. What may work for me in one relationship could be totally wrong for another relationship. What I say to my friend on Tuesday could be really supportive and encouraging. And if I say that same thing to my friend on Friday, it could be kind of detrimental and discouraging. So always being alive, always being willing to be open to what that sound is outside right now. Sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's birds. So that point of really not grasping at right answer and really just being genuine in every moment. So ordinary people are upside down. Um, you know, ordinary, I really think Kyosho here is talking about all of us. He's talking about himself. All of us, totally ordinary. Beyonce, totally ordinary. Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Gandhi, everyone, totally ordinary. We eat, we shit, we want things, we don't want to die, we grieve our loved ones when they pass. All totally ordinary. Every last one of us. And we're upside down, right? I think it's a mistake to think that Kyosho is saying those people over there who don't meditate, those people over there who don't get the Buddha way, those ordinary people, they're upside down. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's just saying all of us totally ordinary people are upside down. We have our concepts and ideas just by nature of being alive. If we didn't, we wouldn't feed ourselves. We wouldn't make friendships. We wouldn't be of service. We wouldn't do anything. So just to be in the world, to think of myself as a thing, even that's a concept, an empty concept that I am a thing in the world. It's an upside down, it's totally wrong. It's delusional, all of our concepts and attachments. So he says, ordinary people are upside down, losing themselves in pursuit of things. So on first glance, it might be easy to think like he's talking about, people wasting time doing things, right? The universe is empty. Everything is Buddha. So trying to pursue anything is useless, and you're losing track of the point. And I guess there's there's definitely some of that going on if we really get hung up with making money or being popular, and we totally obsess with that, we might be losing the point a little bit. What I think he's really getting at here is that we're all pursuing stuff. Just the fact that we eat and go to sleep, we're pursuing survival. Just taking a single breath, I'm in pursuit of something. And this losing themselves, I think, is kind of a positive thing, right? How much Buddhist stuff do we have to read before we understand that losing the self is kind of what we're after? Letting go of this concept and attachment to my little self as a separate thing in the world. And so I think this is really an expression of our inherent Buddha nature. We go around pursuing things. We go around growing food and eating food and helping people and having jobs and raising families. And that's great. That's what we're here for. We're here to be of service. We're here to make the world a better place. We're pursuing things. And because we are naturally Buddha, we have no choice but to be losing ourselves. We may not see it, we may be lost in this delusion, this upside down thinking, but really, inherently, we are empty. And everything we do is an expression of losing this self, whether we know it or not. And our practice in Zazen, or whatever your practice may be, is to really become intimate with that losing of the self in every moment. It's not something you have to do. It's not something you have to achieve. You're already doing it every moment in all of your pursuits. Yourself that you think you are is constantly dissipating. So what is he saying? Is he saying to the monk, you're right? Is he saying to the monk, you're wrong? Or is he just kind of sharing? Maybe it's not about right and wrong. And so the next thing the monk says, what about you? Which I think right now, the way I'm reading this koan is like the most important part of the koan. Because if I'm the monk, right, I give my answer to this probing question of what is the nature of the universe. And I give my Zenny answer, the sound of raindrops. All I'm thinking about is, am I right? Am I right? Please tell me I'm right. Um, and the fact that the monk doesn't respond that way, he just says, what about you? How do you pursue things? How do you get in touch with losing yourself? I just think is the most beautiful thing for me, because if I could replace all the moments in my life where I'm trying to get validation, or I'm trying to figure out where I'm right, wrong, good, bad, accepted, rejected, if I could supplant or replace all of those moments with being curious and asking people about themselves, being open to folks, I think I would alleviate a lot of my suffering and be of a lot better service. All the time, I'm wondering if I'm doing the right thing. And if instead I just kind of do my best and just remain open and ask people or ask nature, ask the universe, what's next? What about you? Tell me about your experience. It's just such a deeper connection to everything. It really highlights harmony and oneness as opposed to worrying about how I'm doing. So I just love that the monk answers that way, right? What about you? Tell me more. And so Kyosho says, oh yeah, getting to not losing self. So that's a weird answer, right? We're talking about losing self here. That's the whole point. An-atman is the original Buddhist word for no self. And that's why we sit so hard 5 hours a day now, me and Diana and that year, sitting to become intimate with losing self. So why is he saying not losing self? And why is he saying getting to not losing self as opposed to just not losing self? And upon investigation, it really, I mean, it is the perfect, the more I think about it, it's just the perfect expression of totally letting go, right? Because if I have an idea that I need to lose the self, well, already I'm stuck. I need to lose the self. And once I lose the self, then everything's great. Then I get Buddha nature. So then we say, no, kill the Buddha. Get rid of losing self. Even get rid of that. Okay, cool. Then I'll say not losing self and I'll get rid of that. Okay, then that's it. Nope, not even that. Get rid of losing self. Not losing self. Not. And just how do you express this constant letting go of any idea that I think it might be? And I think this is a great way of saying it. Getting to, always working on, always looking at what I'm holding on to. And you know, he's talking about this practice of losing self, but I think it really applies to everything. Once I get this job, everything will fall in place. No, it won't. Of course it won't. Let go of that. Something else is going to come up. Maybe that perfect job ends up being a disaster. Um, Once me and my partner figure out this problem, smooth sailing from there. No, figure out the problem and then get ready for the next one. Always constantly letting go of what I think it should be, of what I think the end goal is. Losing self, not losing self, not losing self, all of them. Just let go and just be open to the raindrops right now. So that's a tough thing to, it's kind of a weird thing to say. What about you? Getting to not losing self. And so the monk, I think just wants to know a little bit more about that. So the monk says, what do you mean? What's the meaning of this getting to not losing self? Aren't you a master? You're already there. So he tries to say it another way, right? All of these, freaking Dharma talks and dialogues and interviews and doksans and speeches and books and all of these ways we try to express our truth, it's hard. And so to keep on continuing, all of us, not just teachers or coaches or whatever, all of us, to always be trying to find the best way to express ourselves. That's kind of our mission. So he says, getting to not losing self. The monk doesn't really get it. So now he's got to, come up with another way of putting that. How do I completely let go of everything I think it should be? And so his next attempt is, emerging can be relatively easy. Total expression must be hard. So emerging, I guess you could see this emerging as, emerging from delusion or emerging from samsara, emerging from ignorance into what? Wisdom, oneness, the absolute. I don't know. I think it's kind of nice to think of this emerging as emerging from the raindrops. Myself, my life, emerging from every moment, emerging from sadness, emerging from the birds in the trees, emerging from doing homework. It reminds me of the famous quote, I think it's Dogen, pretty sure it's Dogen. He says, to carry the self forward and illuminate the myriad dharmas is delusion. That the myriad dharmas come forth and illuminate themselves is enlightenment, right? So can each moment emerge from all of the things, right? It's not me perceiving the rain. It's not me sitting in an office talking to you. The office and the laptop and everybody here and the sound outside, from that I emerge, totally one with, not existing separate from any of those things. Just simply this is all I am. So he says that can be relatively easy, having that experience of oneness with everything. And it can, like that experience, I believe everyone here has had that experience. Everyone in the world, every sentient being at some point has had that experience of the loss of self into the moment, being so taken or so caught up with something, so focused and concentrated that we lose ourselves in that moment and realize that we are nothing but that moment. Maybe it's looking at your newborn baby. Maybe it's exercising so hard that you're in this kind of like super focused state, seeing a beautiful sunset, whatever it may be. It's relatively easy because it's just the fact. It's just the facts of our life. We are nothing separate from all that is. So that can be relatively easy to see that. But total expression, really being able to let go in every moment. It's not self. It's not losing self. It's not losing self. It's not losing, that constant practice of letting go of what I think it should be must be hard. The minute it's not, I love that he says it must be hard. He doesn't just say total expression is really difficult. He says it must be. Because the minute you think it's not, the minute I think that I've landed on something, this is it. Once I get this, I'll be good. Once I pass that koan, I'll get it. Once I get this title, then I'll be satisfied. Once I think anything's accomplished, that's total expression. It's already wrong. I'm already holding on to something. So total expression, really getting this no self, must be hard. It must be constant. And that's why we talk so much about constant practice, constant zazen, constant engagement. And not just in zazen, but really in life. If I think I've hit, I'm thinking about relationships in my life, and I think, we figured that out. Now we're good to go. I think that's a setup for disappointment and suffering, because it's delusion, everything changing. So to really get that total expression of wisdom and compassion of the Buddha, I have to be working. I have to be open. I have to be listening to the sound outside. And I have to be fully upside down and be in pursuit. So that's my take on this really beautiful koan, and I'll open it up for questions or comments.